Hello, everybody, and welcome to this eMarketer Academy webinar on event management for SuperOffice CRM. I'm thrilled to be covering this topic today because events are starting to be part of our everyday business life, and finally we can go out and do lead generation, relationship building, hang out with colleagues, and all that good stuff that events make possible. So I thought it was timely that we focus on this and also some of the new features that eMarketer brings to the event management table, specifically for SuperOffice. My name is Klaus, and I work with product marketing and with partners at eMarketer. I've been here for more than 10 years and do a lot of these webinars. So if you've been around on one of these before, good to see you again. And if this is your very first, great to have you here. I hope that I'll be able to inspire you, whether you're an eMarketer pro or absolutely newbie, or if you know SuperOffice or not, I hope to be able to inspire you. Just some practicalities. I hope my sound and everything is coming through clearly. Of course, if not, let me know in the questions box. We're scheduled to be here for about an hour, depending on how many questions you guys have. Do shoot me your questions in the questions box. We're a lot of folks here today, so everybody will be muted, but do send me your questions, thoughts, and considerations in the questions box. It's all anonymous, so nobody will be able to see what you're asking. It's just me. So there are no stupid questions, just inspiration for everybody to share there. I'll be recording the session today, and you'll be receiving the slides after the webinar. So don't worry too much about where I click or screen grab, because it'll all be made available to you after the webinar. And maybe if you feel it's relevant, feel free to share it with some colleagues of yours. Right, so the topic today is to get to know event management in eMarketer and really focusing on how SuperOffice is kept in the event loop, right? So the whole event process is taken care of by the marketing team or the event manager with invitations and registrations and reminders and all that logistics that go into the event planning and the event execution. But it is super crucial to keep everybody in the CRM up to date with what's going on. You know, no account manager wants to sit on the phone with a customer not knowing that they've just registered for the big event we're doing. So keeping your colleagues working in SuperOffice super up to date is paramount here. Just a few words about eMarketer. We're a marketing automation platform. We've been around for 20 years. And we have partnered with SuperOffice since way back. So we share a lot of customers with SuperOffice, and actually, just in a few weeks, we're coming up on an anniversary, our 10-year anniversary of being a built for SuperOffice certified product. So we're incredibly proud of that. And speaking of milestones and this 10-year seniority we have in this ecosystem, not so long ago, the eMarketer app rose to the top of the App Store, only surpassed by the Synchronizer for SuperOffice. And I don't think we'll quite beat that, but just being at that runner-up spot makes us incredibly proud. This means that a lot of SuperOffice, both online and on-premise, actually, clients use eMarketer tightly integrated to SuperOffice. All right, so today, we'll be focusing on event management. Absolutely, this is everything we're going to cover, but event management is just part of the puzzle or the platform that makes up eMarketer. So in an event, you'll be using emails to send out invitations and reminders. You'll be using web forms to take registrations. You'll be sending out surveys and evaluations to figure out what people thought about your event. Maybe you'll be sending SMSs. Maybe you'll be building landing pages to communicate about the event. Mobile apps is becoming incredibly popular with events, trade shows, and so on. So there are a lot of different pieces here in eMarketer that really supports the event management piece. Obviously, lead scoring and reporting is important to figure out who's hot here, who is really engaging in our event, how is our event doing from a reporting perspective, and obviously automating everything so we don't have to have manual tasks. So you see all of the different components in eMarketer really play nicely together with regards to managing your events. And the cool thing is, if you can do the email, you can do all of the rest because it's all on the same platform. Now, that's just eMarketer. Now, as mentioned, we want to bring in SuperOffice and make sure that everybody who has access to SuperOffice really understands what's going on with our event. We don't want people to go into another platform to figure out what has my customer been doing or what is my lead doing with our events. So we make sure that everything we do on the marketing side flows into SuperOffice seamlessly. We show this on lead reports for new customers and prospects coming into the CRM. We do marketing timelines, and I'll get back to all of this. We do marketing timelines so you can see the customer journey for every person in the CRM, and we can do update tasks, sales, interest, projects, and much more. Just like you were working directly in the CRM, eMarketer can create all of these things for you. So if somebody has evaluated your event in a negative way and you want to put a task to the customer owner or the account owner, no problem, eMarketer can do that for you automatically. You want to share reports and event performance in the dashboards in SuperOffice, no problem. eMarketer has you covered there as well. And that is what I'll be showcasing for you guys today. So the event process, and why are events interesting apart from the fact that we can go out and mingle and create new leads and opportunities and build relationships? Events are probably the second biggest after lead management and lead generation. The event management piece is probably the second biggest use case or scenario that our shared customers between eMarketer and SuperOffice use eMarketer for. And it's for good reasons, because when you look at an event, you have tons of moving pieces. You know, save the date, invitation, registration, reminder, confirmation, an SMS, a landing page, a mobile app. You have tons of things that need to play neatly together in order to orchestrate your event. And on top of that, you need to make sure that your colleagues are up to date with regards to what's going on. Plus, you want to stretch that event time frame, so it's not only at the event day, but also before the event, you have a good communication flow going to the guests, and after the event, you make sure that you stretch the time span of your event. So normally, and most events would need more tools, right? You need your website to communicate about the event. You need maybe SMS communication, registration pages, emails, and some event management pieces there. And yeah, you can go out and get those either cheap or for free, but you'll end up with a kind of not really synchronized and integrated setup where you as the marketer is left with lack of oversight or overview, what's going on. I need to jump back and forth between my events, different event pieces. And your colleagues in sales and account management, they can't see what you're doing in the CRM system because it's not tightly integrated. And you end up with managing your event in Excel. If you can recognize yourself here, just give me a nod in the questions box, because I think that Excel is one of the biggest event management tools out there, and we want to do away with that, because you shouldn't be a data miner, a data manager in Excel. You should be an event manager and marketer and focusing on the creatives and the content of your event, not on pushing data back and forth. So for your event guests, having everything on one platform means that they have a uniform experience, right? Whether it's the SMSs going out or the emails or the landing pages or the registration pages, everything is housed on one platform. That's great for the event experience. It's also good for GDPR because you keep track on everything you capture GDPR-wise, so you can log and show that to your event guests if they need to, and you can make sure that you respect their consent. Then it's great for your colleagues, as mentioned, because it's integrated to SuperOffice, so you can see completely transparent across the whole event flow. But in events, you also often communicate with people outside of your organization. Maybe you have a hotel partner, catering, transport agencies, people who need information about your event, like how many people are coming for this and that venue, how many vegetarian, kosher, and lactose intolerant meals should we prep. Data that resides in the registration process and that you would need to make available to people outside your company. The neat thing here is that you can share these reports. You can make them anonymous and share them with your catering company, for instance, so they always have a link to an up-to-date information. You don't have to send Excel files back and forth with your external parties there. And when the event is over, you just close off the report so they don't have access to the data anymore. So in a nutshell, on one platform, before the event, you can manage all pre-event communications and take registrations from many different channels to your event. Then on the event day, you can do QR code scanning to register people. You can do evaluations and surveys, quick quizzes. You can do mobile apps and SMSs and whatnot to engage your participants there on the event. And then after the event, you can use all of the information you've captured during the event to send relevant information and nurture your prospects and customers after the event has taken place. And at any given point in time, your colleagues in the CRM system can go back and see how did the event process look for my specific customer or prospect here. So you never have to play email ping pong back and forth. Did my customer sign up for the event? What did he think? Did she respond to the evaluation? You don't have to ask all of those questions. You just go to the CRM where you'll find it. If it's not in the CRM, it never happened. So let's dive into how eMarketer and SuperOffice plays together in this event process, because obviously in SuperOffice and the CRM, you have all of your customers, all of the prospects or the leads you know and you're working on. Sorry. You have the calendars and all of the notes of the account responsibles, and we want to make sure that we use that data as best we can. So your target group for your invites, for instance, is probably residing in SuperOffice. And then in eMarketer, we're building the whole event and just pulling in the selections and projects to send out our invitations. So let's look at a typical event flow. Now, this could look very, very different in your organization. This is not set in stone in eMarketer. You can design this process however you like. But most cases, you will need some guests for your event, right? So let's say you have your guests, be it colleagues or customers or partners, you have those in SuperOffice, maybe in a selection or project. You can then send your event invitation to those persons, and the event invitation is done in eMarketer. After the invitation goes out, the invitation should obviously have a link to a registration page that can automatically be pre-populated with all of the data you have, so you make it really easy to sign up for your event. Maybe you also want to take in registration from social media or Google Ads, so you'll be able to drive new traffic to your registration page for contacts that you don't know yet, and that would give you an opportunity to create leads and prospects and business opportunities. Then after the invitation has gone out and people start to register, you want to make sure that you automatically send confirmations. And these confirmations, this process maybe would start building reports in SuperOffice on the dashboard that shows how many people actually signed up. Maybe you want to put notifications or tasks on the account managers in SuperOffice, notifying them that their customer has signed up for the event. Then we want to automatically send a reminder to everybody who hasn't signed up yet. So basically saying, okay, please, everybody that got the invitation but hasn't registered yet, we want to send those a reminder, really to build our event audience as much as we can there. And then just before the event, maybe we want to send out a reminder, just an SMS saying, hi, first name, look forward to seeing you at the event. And then after the event, maybe we want to do an evaluation. Okay, so these are just some of the ways that you can combine all of these different components to make a seamless event flow. The neat thing is here, all of this can be set up prior to the event. You can schedule and automate everything. So once this is set up, it just runs on autopilot. The communication to the invitees, the confirmations, the reminders, the communication to SuperOffice, everything happens automatically. So you can focus on your presentations and speakers and catering and all that other stuff that goes into the event, right? So let us have a look at how a flow like this could be set up in eMarketer. Remember to send me your questions. Maybe I'll pick up some of the questions during the presentation or during the demo, or maybe I'll sum up at the Q&A depending on the type of questions there. But I'll do my best to keep an eye out for the questions box during the presentation. Okay, so welcome to eMarketer. Obviously, we can't cover everything in eMarketer today, so I'll do some shortcuts. And like any good TV chef, I've prepped a little meal for us beforehand, so we have an event to look at. So don't worry too much about how I created everything. If you have questions about it, shoot, and we'll have a look. So in eMarketer, I'll just jump into my campaigns where I have my folder with my event sitting there. So in my folder, I can go in and find the webinars that I have prepped. Here we are. And there I have an event folder called Event Management for SuperOffice. And here I'm working on a breakfast seminar that I want to do for this company. So in this campaign, I have a lot of the components that you'll remember from the flow chart. Let me just zoom in here real quick. I have an invitation, an email that I want to send out. I have a registration page where people can sign up for the event. I have a confirmation. So whenever somebody's signed up for the registration, I want to send the confirmation automatically. I have a reminder that I'd like to go out automatically when people have received the invite but haven't signed up yet. And then I have an SMS that I would like to send out the day before, just reminding people about the event, maybe highlighting some speakers or giving driving directions or whatever. And then after the event, I have an evaluation invitation and an evaluation form. Obviously, I would like to capture some feedback from my event guests to let them explain to me how I did, good and bad, so I can improve on my events. So this is just one example of the different components that would go into an event. And let me jump into a couple of these so you get a gist of the anatomy here. So if I go into my invitation, bring up edit here, I go into the editor in eMarketeer. And this is the place where you'll be working with all of your content in eMarketeer, regardless of this, if this would be a mobile app or a landing page or an email or any of the other stuff you build in eMarketeer, it's all done here. On the left-hand side here, I have my sender information. I can change the style sheet. This is just a template, so it can be completely customized, of course, to your look and feel. So I have some text here, invitation to coffee, cookies, and content marketing. Hope to see you there, first name. So it's customized, personalized. Obviously, want to bring the data I have on my contacts into the email here to make it more relevant. Some nice imagery here, the date, the place, and the time of the event. I have an agenda and a button to register here. It's pretty straightforward. Of course, all of this can be changed completely to your liking. Just adding new blocks to the template here is really easy. You bring out the blocks gallery, and here you have maybe barcodes if you do tickets and barcodes. Maybe you want to include a video in your email, you can do that. We also have add to calendar features. So you can add, just like any invite you send out via Outlook, the eMarketeer add to calendar functionality can put in that functionality in your email. So when they click, it would populate their calendar with the right date and topic and location and so on. So tons of different blocks for you to choose from when you work with your invitation, landing pages, and so on. The registration page, obviously, when I click register here, just double click here, it is linked to my form. So the link here on the bottom is linked to my form, the registration seminar in the breakfast seminar campaign. So that's how you link. Where on the button here, you simply link to the form you've already built. The links can be personalized, which means that the form is pre-populated with content, or they can be anonymous so that the email here is forward friendly. So you can easily forward this to colleagues if you're not going yourself. So that is how the invite is being built here. And we have built-in image editors with more than 2 million images available for you, royalty-free, icons, fonts. You can use Google fonts in your emails and all this good stuff. So there's just tons you can do with this drag and drop email editor that can help you really build some nice looking invites for your event. Okay, cool. So let's go back to to my campaign and have a look at some of the other components. I have my registration page, a key element, of course, probably maybe the first element to start building, because you want to figure out which details do I need about my event participants to make my event flow. So if you do name tags, you need obviously their contact details. You probably need those to send them to the SuperOffice CRM as well. If you're having dinner, you want to ask about dietary requirements. You know, do they need vegetarian dishes or whatnot? If you have breakout sessions, you can ask which sessions they want to participate in. There are just a lot of different questions and question types you can add to your form here. You can even add more pages. So if you have a really long event with many different breakout sessions, you can break up the registration into several pages to make it easier to navigate through. You can also do dynamic questions. So if you have a question like, are you staying for dinner? Yes and no. If they answer yes, the next question will pop up, which will be about their meal requirements. If they answer no, obviously we don't need to ask about their meal requirements. So there are a lot of different things you can do there. So that's the registration page. And then obviously we have the confirmation, the reminder, and they look pretty much the same. The neat thing here is when I've done my invitation, I can just do a copy. Now I have a copy of the invitation that I can move to somewhere. I can rename that one and do my reminder email, for instance. So it's really easy once you've done your event design to just copy that email into more variations or variants, so you can work on the stuff on the back of the stuff you've already done. So the invitation, the confirmation is just a copy with less content. Like, thank you, you're registered to coffee, cookies, and content marketing. We look forward to seeing you. Location, maybe here would be a good place to add the add to calendar functionality, where you can have the people populate their calendars. Just a recommendation, don't do that in your invitation, do it in the confirmation, because people tend to think that they've actually signed up for the webinar when they've added it to their calendars. So there we go. So a lot more stuff you can do here in the email. Of course, I get you get that idea by now. Then I have the SMS that I would like to go out the day before. Again, opening the editor is straightforward here. I have a preview of how the SMS will look over here. I can merge in for contact details and much more. And here's an example of how the SMS will look on the recipient's phone when it's being personalized. You'll see here that it's using Avenir. This is the demo company I'm using. Which means that you can choose your sender ID here. You can create your own sender ID, so the SMSs will actually appear as being sent from you, even though we take care of the whole SMS gateway and delivery process there. And you might think that SMSs, why would I want to use an SMS? Well, an SMS is an incredibly personal delivery channel, if you will. It has probably a 100% open rate. I bet your emails does not have that. So that for an event, for instance, where you want to build the relationship prior to the event, using the SMS as a channel is a great way to get in touch with your recipients there. Just remember to ask them for their mobile phone number with their international dial-in codes if they travel from abroad. All right, so let's see. Then we have an invite for the evaluation and the evaluation form itself. Of course, same stuff. I just want to show you the evaluation real quick because I'm going to use some of the questions in there. So in the evaluation, I'm saying evaluate coffee, cookies, and content marketing. Please help us evaluate, a little typo there. And then I'm asking, would you recommend the event to others? Yes, no. I'm asking some rating questions about the venue and the speaker. And then, would you like to book a meeting with us? Yes and no. And I'm going to use these questions for some smart follow-up tasks in SuperOffice in just a sec. Okay, so I know I'm moving quickly, but this was just to give you an idea of all of the different components that I've put into my event. Now, when I want to send out the invitation, I can obviously schedule that for a specific date, or I can just go ahead and say, you know, I'm ready, send it now, and want to send it now. And my options are numerous here. When I get to choose the recipient sources, I can use contacts that I already have in eMarketer. I can upload a file. But in most cases, I'll be using the SuperOffice integration to either online or on-premise SuperOffice to pull my recipients directly from a selection or project. So in SuperOffice, I have a project called Event Breakfast Seminar, and I can just pull in the contacts with all of the details we have on them in SuperOffice and populate my invitation email and send it off to those folks. So in SuperOffice, I'll just nip over there. I have a project called Breakfast Seminar, and I have the people that I wanted to invite here in the list. So they would be carried over to eMarketer. So I can send to either selections or projects in SuperOffice. Now, I don't want to wait for the delivery of the email, so I've already gone ahead and sent the email to all of the recipients. My invitation is out. As you can see here, it is sent to 21 people, and I can go ahead and look at the report and see how the delivery has been going, open rates, click-through rates, click-through open rates, bounce rates, and so on. How many people have received the email? How many people have opened it? What time did they open it? What are the latest openers and their lead score, and so on. So I really have a good overview of my event performance when it comes to the email delivery, open rates, and so on. So every component in eMarketer has these reports for you. Now, okay, the invite is out, and I want to make sure before I send that out, I want to make sure that I have everything automated, right? As you remember, when people register, I want to send out the confirmation. If people don't register, I want to put out a reminder. I want to schedule the day before SMS and much, much more. And that all happens on automations. So let's go ahead and see what you can do with automations in eMarketer and eMarketer for SuperOffice. The first column here, that's everything you can do with automations in eMarketer. So you can send an email automatically, send an SMS, manage your lists, manage your campaigns, update contact card, update legal basis on GDPR, subscriptions, unsubscriptions, notifications, and you can even push data to other systems, right? So a lot of things you can do automatically. And in SuperOffice, you can create a sale, you can create a task, an open task and a closed task. You can add and remove from selections, from projects, and you can update interest codes. So all of these things can happen on autopilot when things are happening in your campaigns. So let's look at the automations I've set up for this campaign, and there are quite a few. And here they are. So the first one is the confirmation. When my registration form is submitted, I want to send the email confirmation. Just let's have a look at that one and see how that's built. Very straightforward. Basically, what you're telling eMarketer is, you know what, please in my campaign, send the confirmation email without any delay when the registration form has been submitted. Done deal. That's all there is to setting up an automation. You simply tell eMarketer, when this happens, do that. Okay, autopilot, set it and forget it. Now that is the email going out to the people who have, to the persons who have registered, right? Now, I also want to tell SuperOffice that somebody has registered. So I've created an automation that I call SuperOffice registration. And again, it's based on the registration form. When that is submitted, I want to notify SuperOffice that something has occurred. So let's open up that one. And you'll quickly recognize the anatomy, if you will, of the automation here. So the first piece here is, what do I want to do? I want to add the person and make sure the person is already in the project, which also links the activity that I'm creating right now to the project. I'm choosing the activity type. These are all of the activity types I have in SuperOffice. And then I'm putting in a text, first name registered for campaign. So these are merge fields that I can grab on this button. So I can merge in the contact name and I can merge in my campaign name. So that makes it easy for, I can also just type my text here, obviously, but this makes the text that goes into SuperOffice a little more personal when I have contact first names and so on in the text itself. So I would like an event to be created, an activity, closed activity of the type event with this text when somebody registers for the event. Now let's just nip over to SuperOffice and see one of these activities. They'll end up in the activities tab of the project. So down here, you will have Roger registered for the breakfast seminar. See details under www. So when I open up this event, just like you would any other SuperOffice activity, it's a closed activity. Nobody needs to do anything right now. And on the web panel here, you have the registration details that Roger has submitted. So there we can see the contact owner or account owner of Roger here for Widget Corp can see that this has now happened. Roger is now registered. Okay, so that was a closed activity that goes into to SuperOffice. Now, I also want to add some proactivity here. For instance, if somebody gives a negative evaluation, I want to create a task in SuperOffice, right? Because when somebody says, I really didn't like the event, you want to make sure you follow up and do something with that information to make to see if you can make the situation any better. So in this case, I'm going to choose another type of automation. This is called task. A task is an open activity, which means that it ends up in the diary of the contact owner and it is added as a to-do item. So I'm calling the automation negative evaluation. I'm storing it in the project breakfast seminar. I'm calling it telephone out activity. And then I'm saying first name had a negative experience at event name, please call. And I want to do that. And this is where it gets really cool. When my evaluation form has been answered in a specific way, so it's not just been submitted, it is in a specific way. And the question, would you recommend the event to others, has been answered no. Okay, so you see I have the different questions in my form. Would you like to book a meeting? Would you like to recommend the event? And if they answer, would you like to recommend the event? No. A task should go to the contact owners or the contact responsible's calendar saying, please follow up, see if there's something we can do here. So when people start evaluating the event, you will see some telephone out activities here. For instance, here's an open activity, telephone out. Cynthia had a negative experience at breakfast seminar, please call. Now, when I open up the activity, as you know by now, you will have a web panel with the form response. And here you can see that Cynthia answered, no, I would not like to recommend the event to others. Apparently she didn't really like the topics covered or the speaker, but the food and venue was okay. And then you have her contact details here. So now the person who's responsible for Cynthia and for 123 warehousing has an open activity in their diary that calls for them to telephone out and figure out, is there something we can do about that instead? So that's how we put tasks and activities into the calendars and into SuperOffice of people. I also have a book a meeting. So you'll remember in my evaluation, you could book a meeting with a sales rep. If that is answered with yes, I would obviously create a task for that. And I'm also doing another thing is that I'm adding a potential sale. So if they answer yes, book a meeting, I'm actually creating a potential sale in SuperOffice. Now, needless to say, this needs to be agreed on with your sales rep that this is a good qualified lead. If they book a sales meeting or a consulting meeting with us after the event, we can start logging that as a potential sale in our sales pipeline. So just like before, I'm putting the activity and the sale into the project. I'm choosing the sales type, cross-sell to current client. Here I just have the sales types that are available in SuperOffice. I'm saying that this is a first meeting. I'm adding a value. If I don't know the value at all, I can just leave that blank. But maybe I have clients of this type that we're inviting. The first meeting or the contract value is around this figure. I can put that in. I have the description as well. First name has requested a sales meeting after the event. And obviously, it's when they answer yes to would you like to book a meeting with us. So as you can see, I'm really building a recipe here for all of the things that I want to have happen automatically when people engage with my event material, invitation, registration, and evaluation. Just quickly going over to SuperOffice again, you can see the telephone out activity. Anthony would like to book a meeting. And I have the sales here where Anthony and Anne has requested a sales meeting. So there are now 2 potential sales at 80,000. They're first meeting stage, and they're assigned to the right contact owners that are responsible for the companies that we have in SuperOffice here. So this is really neat because now we can start building pipeline automatically, measure against budgets and so on, and see how our event is performing. Now, if you don't use sales in SuperOffice, you wouldn't go this way. I'm just showing you that it's an option that you can create potential sales and start building automatic pipeline in SuperOffice there. All right, so let's go back to eMarketer. So as you can see, everything is on autopilot. Invitations, registrations, confirmations, that's all cool. Now, I have some things that I can't really automate. For instance, a reminder and the day before SMS. I'll put those on a schedule. So what I'm telling eMarketer is, for instance, with my SMS, I want to schedule that. So I'm going to click send, and then I'm going to say a scheduled send. And then eMarketer will ask me, well, who should you send the day before SMS to? And I should obviously send that to everybody who's registered for my event and then send it out the day before. So I'm going to choose selection. This will be my target group. And here I get to choose whom I'm targeting. I want to look at the form registration and everybody that submitted that form, and then add that to my selection of recipient for this SMS. I've already done that, so it'll probably be here twice. Oh, okay, I'm good. So right now, 8 people have registered, and then I get to choose a time where this should go out. I think my event date is June 15, so I could schedule it to go out June 14 at 10 o'clock, and then schedule, continue to checklist, and now my SMS is scheduled to go out. I'm notified about the cost of sending the SMS, when it will go out, and so on. If I have any bad telephone numbers, in this case, I haven't captured telephone numbers at all, so it warns me about that. And now when I schedule that SMS, eMarketer will sit tight and wait for the 14th of June, figure out everybody who is registered for the event and send out the day before SMS to them at 10 o'clock that day. Set it and forget it, it takes care of the rest. Exactly the same thing with the reminder. I'm setting the reminder to be sent maybe 7 days before, so everybody that got the invitation and that haven't answered the registration form yet. So I don't need to figure out who's answered, who haven't. Do I need to subtract people from my original list and so on? I don't need to think about that. I'm just telling eMarketer, send it to everybody that I invited, minus the folks that have registered. Done deal. Okay, so things are starting to come together. My planning is up. I can send the invitation out and all of this stuff starts happening here. I showed you the report on the email, and just as I mentioned, you also have reports on forms and landing pages and SMSs. Obviously, they vary a little bit. This is a form report, so I get a report on how many answers I have received. I can see the results. 8 persons has registered. They have all given consent to be communicated to, and I can also see a spreadsheet list and so on. So a lot of different things are available in the reports in eMarketer. SMS report, same thing. You can see the delivery of the SMS and the SMS process there. So fully informed throughout your, you can also see a preview of the SMS here. So these reports are available in eMarketer, and that's where you will be focusing on the nitty-gritty details of your delivery and so on. But obviously, your colleagues in SuperOffice, they're pretty interested in figuring out how many people have signed up, how have they evaluated, and so on. And we want to make sure that we share that with SuperOffice. So for instance, the overall campaign or event performance here, I can build a dashboard here that shows me how my performance is. So these dashboards are fully customizable, and you can add these reporting widgets to them, much like you can do in the SuperOffice dashboard. So in this case, I've added a funnel view that shows me the event funnel. How many emails did I send out? 21 so far. How many emails have been clicked? 10. So that's a conversion rate of 48%. How many people have submitted the registration? 7. So that's a 7% conversion across these two. And how many have evaluated? 6. So I can see my event flow, and I can add more components if I want to in the funnel, and I get all of the conversion rates automatically. I've also added a widget for registrations. Right now I have 8 registrations. My target is 20, so my progress is 40% towards my target. And I also have a counter of how many evaluations I've gotten. So this is just a nice brief overview of the event registration process. This can be shared and put into SuperOffice, and I'll show you that in just a second where I like to place those. So that was the event performance, how many people registered and so on. Another thing that's interesting is obviously the evaluation. What did people think about my event? That has a report there, as I already showed you. On the forms results page, you can see, would you recommend this event to others? How did they rate the different components? Would they like to book a meeting and so on? And again, this report is shareable, so you can share it with people either outside of your organization or just put the report into SuperOffice. So in SuperOffice, there are a couple of things that I like to do with event reports and so on. I like to use the project links here because that keeps everything neatly gathered. So on the project links page, I typically put in the links to the reports. So if people are in the project, they can just click the links and get the evaluation report right there in their browser. Really easy and convenient. And this is obviously always up to date with the information that you have from the registration and evaluation pages. But people may not find their way into the project links here. And if you really want to highlight the event performance and evaluation even more, you can put them onto the dashboard. In the new SuperOffice dashboards, you can add web panels as well, and you can bring in your SuperOffice, your eMarketer report here. So here you have the performance dashboard that I showed you just before on the dashboard tab here. I put that on a SuperOffice dashboard, so this is always up to date. And underneath, I have the evaluation report that covers all of the answers that have been submitted on the evaluation. So I really have tabs on everything that could be relevant for my colleagues to look at in SuperOffice without me needing to send reports, PowerPoints, Excels, whatnot back and forth between us. These are always up to date, and they are always centrally available in the CRM. Now let me go back to the project and show you some of the other cool stuff. By the way, did you notice that when I mouse over, I have a little image here of my event, some of the event collateral. I just like to use that as well. It's a little SuperOffice feature on the image page here. If you add an image in here, it will show nicely on a little preview. I just think that's pretty cute, right? And I work in marketing, so I'm all about the colors and the images, right? So in the project members here, I can have a look at what people have done. So for instance, if I look at Amanda here and want to figure out what is her event journey, if you will, so far been, and I could bring up the side panel here, and I have her marketing timeline. So when I look at Amanda, I get Amanda's timeline over here, and now this is just a dummy person, of course, but if this was a real email address, it would look on LinkedIn, for instance, and Facebook and other social platforms to see where this person is active, and I can click onto their profiles. It'll try to find a profile image of this person, and it shows me the lead score that I've built in eMarketeer. eMarketeer has a complete lead scoring functionality, and I've obviously added a lot of points when people sign up for my event, so they get a nice high lead score here. I can see their interaction over time, and then I can see the event flow that has been going on here. I can see that they got the invitation, the confirmation, and they've received the evaluation invite. And I can actually drill down to see how did the email look. Let's give me a little more screen here. I have the email delivery stats, I have the links that were clicked, and I can see exactly how the email looked that was sent to Amanda. So full transparency on everything that Amanda has done, including the registrations, the evaluations, and everything are all in here on the marketing timeline. That's pretty cool. Now, Amanda was already in SuperOffice, but as I mentioned, you may also drive traffic to your event through social media, adverts, print media, whatever. So you may not know all of the people that have signed up for your event in SuperOffice. So these would be new contacts, new companies that would go into SuperOffice, and they end up on the lead report in SuperOffice. So the lead report is where eMarketeer puts persons and companies that are not yet in SuperOffice, but that have triggered something that is interesting in eMarketeer. In this case, for instance, John is quite right now the most interesting sale. John has been active and signed up for a sales meeting in the evaluation, but he doesn't exist in SuperOffice yet. So we can browse through and see the different activities, his customer journey, if you will, that John is on. We can see his lead score, and I can just take ownership, which means that I will create John Griffin and Bluth Company in SuperOffice just with one click. I can assign an account owner, and everything is done automatically. Then the interest codes, the activities, the selections, and the projects that eMarketeer would like to put John into, that all happens automatically just with one click. So that is how new leads that are not in SuperOffice yet end up in SuperOffice. They're gate kept here on the leads report because we don't want to put in Donald Duck and Santa Claus and just crap data into your CRM. We want to make sure that we don't create duplicates and that the data that we put in is really valid. If we don't like the people we're seeing here, we can for instance, this guy, test. I can just click the X here, and it will be removed from the lead report. And I only have John left here because we have a pending sale, and notify, and a task waiting to be created in SuperOffice. And that will all happen automatically if I click take ownership. Alrighty, so this is pretty much the event flow. We have all of our communications automated in eMarketeer, and it all flows into activities, sales, projects, selections, and so on in SuperOffice. That is pretty sweet. All right, so now I really liked this event. I thought it was successful. I liked the flow. I liked the different components. of my events in my campaign here. And as you can see, there are quite a lot of moving bits and pieces here, right? So 7 components, a lot of links, a lot of automations. Is all of this work really now just wasted? Or, and I guess you've guessed it, can I reuse all of this work? And I bet I'm sure you can. So in my event here, I have the campaign called Breakfast Seminar. Let's say that we really like this event and we would like to replicate this and do this all over again. I'm going to go to the gear here and say copy, and eMarketer will ask me, would you like to copy your campaign? Yes, please. Now, all of the components in this campaign, the email, the registration, the SMS, all of the links between the different components, all of the automations, everything is copied into a new campaign here. I'll go ahead and rename that, and I'll call it After Work Seminar instead. An After Work Seminar, and in this campaign, you guessed it, you have all of the bits and pieces from my breakfast seminar. The only thing that's not being copied is the date-specific scheduling, because that doesn't really make sense to copy. So any scheduling that you've set on specific dates, that you will have to set again. But all of the automations that happen automatically when people do something, they are carried on into the copy here. Now, as you can see, I have images that are used across the campaign. I have dates, names, descriptions, times in all of these different components. Now, I've used something called campaign fields to populate all of this. So instead of going into each and every component here to change the title, the description, the date, the agenda, I just nip into fields here where I've created the campaign fields that I've used for this event. So as you can see, you have the event name, date, time, location, description, agenda, and even the artwork is all created here on the fields. So, and you can create more fields, of course, if you need that. So I'm just going to go ahead and find my text for my next event, which is cocktails, chips, and creative campaigns. My event date would be the 5th of July. Event time, well, it's an after work, so let's not do 10 o'clock, let's do 6. The location is Cafe Opera. And my event description, let's talk creative campaigns and sip cocktails. Just copy pasting that in. My agenda, we will cover how creativity can impact, let me see, just paste that in here. How creativity can impact your marketing ROI, how to make the best strawberry daiquiri, essential stuff. And then lastly, the event image, I'm going to say choose image and then choose another image that I have prepared here. This cocktails, chips, and creative campaigns image that I have prepped there. I want to bring that into this campaign. So now I've updated my campaign fields, and these are being merged into all of the components across my campaign. So in less than 60 seconds, I took my 7 components here, and as you can see, when I open them, they are now all updated with my new content. So I don't have to go into each and every one. The title, cocktails, chips, and creative campaigns, the artwork, date, location, time, agenda, everything has been updated on the fly. That is really, really powerful, all the way down to the SMS, all the way down to the registration page, is all updated with the new artwork and so on. So basically, in less than a minute, I'm ready to ship out another fully automated campaign or event that communicates to SuperOffice, that communicates to my event goers and so on, because I used campaign fields for that. So as you can see, the SMS, we look forward to seeing you at the cocktails, chips, and creative campaigns. Like, let's talk creative campaigns and sip cocktails, the new date and time, so on. So just a huge time saver for you to really leverage on the work you've already done. Let's say you work in a large organizations where some of your colleagues in Sweden or Norway have done a fantastic event. You can simply copy their entire event here and just piggyback on the work that they've already done. All right. Wow, I had a lot on my plate here today. I want to make sure that I capture some of the questions here as well from you guys. Here is a question from René. Is it possible to plan a send out to a SuperOffice project or selection to handle cancellations? Absolutely, René. When people sign up for your event, if you want to give them the opportunity to cancel their event, their subscription, there are a couple of ways you can do that. One way is using the registration page. That has a built-in confirmation page. Just let me go down here. On the left-hand side, you have a confirmation email. You want to open that. And here you can allow people to edit their answers, so they can go back into their form and cancel their subscription, or change the dates, or change the breakout sessions, or whatever it is that you've registered here. So that's one way of doing it. So you can actually let people do the edits themselves. If you want to manage that process, you can stick to the confirmation email that we just saw before, which was an email here that was automated. And maybe here have a button that says cancel my registration, that then just goes to a landing page that says, we're sorry to see you go, whatever, and then automate that all the persons that have clicked on that link onto a list, for instance, that you can manually manage, or put them into a selection in SuperOffice or something like that. So that would be two different ways of doing your cancellations. And I hope that answered your question. Let's see, here's another question. That's very specific on a little feature. I'll come back to that one. Here's a question from Tom Erik. Awesome with the SuperOffice dashboard, and the copy paste piggybacking option is amazing. Oh yeah, I guess that was just some feedback. I love positive feedback. Tom Erik, thank you very much for that. The copy paste, if people missed that, I didn't show that, but we just introduced a very little feature that saves you a ton of time. It's in the email editor, or any editor basically. On the tool, let me zoom in here. On the toolbar, you have a clone or a copy feature. So when you click that, it just copies the block that you've selected and puts in the exact same one. So if you've done a neat looking content block with images and whatnot, you can quickly just copy that in your emails. Here's another question on how I put the reports into the dashboards of SuperOffice. Just let me get my dashboard report, for instance, and show you how I put that into to SuperOffice. SuperOffice has made that super easy now with their new dashboard. So on my dashboard in eMarketer, I've created these widgets that oh, sorry, that was in my previous one. So I'm just going to go into the breakfast seminar again, where I have data, and onto the dashboard. There we go. And I have the share capability over here on the right, share. So I'm going to click share, and as you can see, I've already made a shareable link here. If I hadn't, I could click add, and it would create a link. I simply copy this link. There we go. And then in SuperOffice, I go onto my dashboard. In this case, the breakfast seminar, and I go to task, add tile, edit layout, and then I choose the other category for tiles, and you will see web panel as an option over here. Just let me zoom in, web panel. So when I click add, whoa, back out, I can paste in my URL for my eMarketer dashboard, and it shows me a preview, and I can save that, and it's being added to my dashboard in SuperOffice. Super easy. Now, remember to make this dashboard available to everybody or to specific sales teams if you want to, so it's not just you who's getting this particular dashboard. That's really easy to set up with the user group for the specific dashboard. Okay, I hope that answered that question. How do you make the lead timeline in SuperOffice is a question from Anne. And the lead timeline should absolutely, well, the lead timeline, we have the lead report and the marketing timeline. So these are two different things. Oh, you already clarified the lead report. The lead report should absolutely be available in SuperOffice if you've integrated to eMarketer. It should be available as a navigation item over here, lead report, and it will open also on the SuperOffice logo here. You have the lead report. So if you have integrated eMarketer and SuperOffice and you're not seeing the lead report, let us know, because you absolutely should. Remember, this is the place where new companies and prospects end up after they've done something interesting in eMarketer. So you want to make sure that you or somebody from the sales team or the pre-sales team monitor this report to see who should be going into SuperOffice from the marketing side of things. So, and if you already have SuperOffice and eMarketer integrated and you're not seeing the lead report, let us know. Now, we're closing in. Keep the questions coming. I can absolutely stay on a little longer, but I obviously understand if you need to drop off. I just had a few little bonus things that I wanted to add to this campaign, because they're not maybe super logical that you would have that you could be able that you could do, but they're really, really useful, and I put them into event extras here. Now, the first thing is the landing pages you can build in eMarketer. A landing page is a standalone website, if you will, that you can create in eMarketer very, very easily. You've got a lot of different features on the landing pages, like countdowns, registrations, agendas, video boxes, presenter image archives, speaker presentations, and so on. So these are really, really good for events. You can obviously create a URL for those and publish those. But what's also cool is that you can use these landing pages inside SuperOffice. So let's say you have 4 events scheduled for the next time frame here, and you want to make sure that everything that you need to communicate internally about those events are made available. All of that information is made available in SuperOffice. So you build your landing page with countdowns and videos and all of the stuff that you would need to inform your colleagues about. And you grab the URL for this landing page and you put it onto a web panel in SuperOffice. In this case, events overview, and you will recognize the landing page. It is exactly the same that I built in eMarketer. And you have all of these neat features like the countdown. You can play videos right from inside the page here. You have the image lightbox functionality here. So everything you need to communicate about your event and always have up to date in SuperOffice, you can create on a landing page and put into to SuperOffice for your colleagues. So don't play email ping pong back and forth with this material. Put it into SuperOffice and tell everybody it's all there. It's the CRM where you should be checking this out. So I just thought that was a little bit inspirational. So another extra that you may or may not know you can do in eMarketer is mobile apps. And obviously we can't cover that today. I've done a whole webinar on just building mobile apps, but I just wanted to tell you that you have the mobile app capability over here. And when we're talking events, it's a super popular feature. So mobile apps are built just like emails and landing pages. You can design them however you like. There are lots of different layout options. You can do agendas, you can do personalized barcodes or QR codes, images, agendas, frequently asked questions, videos, whatnot in your apps here. You can distribute the apps via SMS or email, so you're not going through app stores and you don't need to comply with the different rules in the different app stores. They run in the browser on the phone, so you can just build one and they work on all smartphones. The app runs on the phone like this, so you will recognize the home page here, the home page that we have here. And then all of the sub pages, you navigate to those from the home page. So the about sections, the agenda, the videos that will play directly on the phone. They won't link off to YouTube. They will play in the phone, in the app. So just really cool to build these apps for your event goers, even maybe for colleagues who are joining the event. You could put in, booth duties, order forms for the event polo shirt, and so on. So you can use them both internally and externally. All right, we're covering a lot of ground here, and I see a lot of questions are still coming in. There are some questions about payment options. We don't have a built-in payment module in eMarketer, but there are ways to use external payment solutions as part of the event flow. So I'll see if I can find some cases for that and send it to the people who are asking about the payment flows there. So we'll have a look at that after the webinar. Let's see if there are more questions that I haven't gotten around to. If you still have something in top of your mind that you want to ask, please go ahead and do so. Otherwise, I think we are closing in on having replied to all questions. There's a last question here about lead score, how the event could affect the lead score. And if you're not familiar with the lead scoring feature in eMarketer, it's somewhat newish. On the contacts tab over here, you customize completely your lead score. Now, lead score is simply assigning a value or a score, number of points, to a specific type of behavior. So in this case, for instance, I have a score set called event scores. And in here, I've added 50 points when people sign up for the breakfast seminar, which means that everybody that does this will have added 50 points to their lead score. And that means that when we're looking at contacts either in SuperOffice on the lead on the timeline or in eMarketer, for instance, let's look for Amanda Perez. There she is. You can see her lead score is 168. When I open up her contact card and look at the score summary, I can see that 50 points have been added because she signed up for the breakfast seminar. So lead scoring is incredibly powerful and very, very customizable to score the leads and customers you have in eMarketer and SuperOffice based on their behavior in your marketing material across all of your different channels. So that is a little note on lead scoring. All right. We are at the hour and there are no more questions so far. So I really want to thank you so much for joining this webinar on event management for SuperOffice. I hope it gave you some inspiration and some ideas as to how you can manage the whole event communication and logistics in eMarketer, while at the same time keeping SuperOffice completely in the loop with full transparency between what you're doing on the marketing side and what they should be receiving on the sales and account management side of things, sharing tasks and notifications, new sales for the pipeline, and even the reports on the dashboards. Bye-bye, guys.